Don't know his name. Do you know anyone with a limp?
That'll be Lubosh. Gallows bait if I ever saw one. His place is at the end of the village, next to the stream. Take him and welcome. God bless.
Lord Almighty!
Move along, citizens. Move along. There's nothing to see here.
That's what you call nothing to see. I'd like to know what something to see looks like.
By the keys of St. Peter, this is all I need. We'll have to send word to Sir Hanush.
That might not be necessary.
Who are you?
I'm Henry of Skalitz, in the service of Hanush's Captain Bernard. I'm investigating the attack at Neuhof, and I think this could be related.
Well, I'm the bailiff of Auschwitz. And I say we don't want any of that kind of trouble around here. What makes you think this has anything to do with Neuhof?
One of the folk at the stud farm recognized someone from Auschwitz among the bandits.
We have no bandits or murderers around here.
Really? They say he had a limp?
Shit. Well, allow me to introduce you to Limpy Lubosh. Or all that's left of him.
Sakra. Nothing's ever easy. I'll have to take a look around and ask a few more questions, if that's all right with you.
You can take this mess off my hands and welcome to it. As for what else there is to find out, I don't know. But look and ask all you like.
Who was Limpy Lubosh?
A poor crofter and a scoundrel. Can't say I'm too surprised what happened to him. He kept company with all sorts of vermin. He was always getting into some kind of trouble. Punch-ups in the tavern and what have you.
How come he limped?
He got that from some villainy or brawl a long time ago.
Has he been up to anything suspicious lately?
I don't know. The last few days he didn't go anywhere. He was home the whole time. But he always kept everyone in the village at arm's length.
Did he have any kith or kin in the village?
None. A loner he was. I don't know the last time I saw him with anyone.
Do you happen to know where he was on the night of the Neuhof raid?
I've no idea. He kept his distance from other folk, so you never knew if he was away or holed up at home.
When did you find the body?
Hey, you! Don't move a muscle!
Watch where you're going.
Surrender! You'll have to answer for your law-breaking.
Stop! Hear me! Stop!
I've heard reports about you. You should...
Just my luck. Look, I can't tell you anymore. The fate of the whole empire hangs in the balance between King Wenceslas and King Sigismund. High politics, you know? Not a peep.
Well, I thought... That is, I had no idea. Well, if that's how it is, of course you may go.
Another thing about Lubosh.
What is it?
Christ almighty, you reek!
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course, ask away.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much. But I wouldn't wish an end like that on any man.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
He was a loner. He didn't even have any mates in the tavern.
That's all. Thank you. I'm looking for the local groom.
Well, you found him. What can I do for you?
The Lady Stephanie of Talmberg sent me. She said you have a roan ready for her.
Well... Chamberlain Dietrich said someone would come. We have him here, but if he's ready, I can't say. That miserable horse will let you saddle him and walk him around the courtyard, but as soon as someone sits on him, he goes completely wild.
I'll handle it.
If you think so.
What the hell? God be with you.
I've come in the name...
I don't know nothing about...
That man Lubosh who was murdered.
I didn't really know him. He kept him...
Have you noticed... That's all. Thank you.
Hey! What the hell are you doing?
Ow! Ow!
Ow!
Clumsy
Watch where you're
idiot.
going.
Learn
What
to
is
join
it?
the
Lout,
force
you
before
nearly
you
killed
kill
me.
someone. Be a bit more
you
careful.
serious?
What is it?
blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
A bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you know Lubosh? Did you notice anything suspicious? That's really not a lot of help to me, Father. Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
That's fine. It started counting up the coin there with us. mate.
Watch it. I'll remember you.
The blessings of our Lord be...
And with you, lad. Take a seat.
I'll have a beer.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle.
Over here, please.
My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
You think I'm too young for the job, Father?
I do, to tell the truth.
Well, I can only apologise for my lack of grey hair and gout.
Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noyal? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses.
My pleasure.
They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home. Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
As you wish. Here you are. And good health.
You're just making excuses. The people who say the church is corrupt are right. You don't care about anyone, only your own comfort.
I'm sorry you see it that way. Really sorry. You've no idea how wrong you are.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. The tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the Church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau monasteries.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj panuje sej smutek, do dnielo i rano utek, niech ich małżeński majstrat, do wczera żylne staje brak. Už sej mojí svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě kůži, nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Buďme se vámi, ano ráda slávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem, tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu jsou nejden, tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět.
Enough of this!
Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks? and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
Come weaker than me. I'll wipe my arse with you. Ale dobre.
Bring it on.
One beer.
Fuck.
Look where you're going.
You dare because I'm a man of the cloth, I won't kick your arms.
Hey!
So, my dear, wouldn't you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure.
Right, Henry. Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dears. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Hey. Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose as Sir Ratzig's protege, you just came from studying in Prague, and you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
Well, all right. But I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do, exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubosh.
Christ almighty. Fine then. We have a deal.
Wonderful. Let's get to it then.